Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we will dive into the May 7th events of The Bold and the Beautiful, looking at Hope's breaking point in the CEO office, Daphne's new proposal for Melissa Dillon, and Brooke's latest attempt at peace with Katie. Notice the lighting in the Forrester Creations CEO office before anyone even speaks. It is always that same sterile, golden hour glow, a terrifyingly beautiful illumination that suggests a world where the sun is perpetually setting but never actually goes down. I found myself staring at the screen today watching Hope Logan stand before Ridge and Steffi, and I was struck by a profound, almost suffocating sense of melancholic dread. We have been here before. We have watched these exact bodies occupy this exact space, having variations of this exact argument for what feels like lifetimes. It dawned on me today that this is not merely a soap opera trope, it is a horror story. It is a voyeuristic glimpse into a Sisyphean purgatory where human beings are fundamentally incapable of growth, trapped in a cyclical nightmare of their own making. Let's be honest about what we just watched. Hope Logan is a grown woman. She is a mother, a creator, a woman who has endured profound grief and betrayal. Yet the moment she steps into that office, she is reduced to a supplicant. She stands there asking Ridge, a man whose patriarchal failures could fill volumes, when her Hope for the Future line will be back in production. It is an act of psychological self-flagellation. She is begging for validation from a system that was explicitly designed to keep her subservient. And then there is Steffi Forrester, sitting behind that desk, draped in the armor of her inherited elitism, looking at Hope with a clinical, almost bored cruelty. What else would you do, Steffi asks her. The question hangs in the air. It is not a genuine inquiry. It is a weaponized assertion of dominance. Steffi's pathology is rooted in this desperate need to be the sole victor in a war she inherited from her mother. Her arrested development is disguised as corporate empowerment, but beneath the designer clothes, she is still just a wounded child, terrified that a Logan might take what belongs to her. And Hope, poor, perpetually enduring, Hope absorbs the blow. But I find myself wondering if anyone else feels this strange ache watching Hope's face in that moment. She is seriously considering her Aunt Katie's offer to leave Forrester and join Logan. The cognitive dissonance of this scene is staggering. Hope has the key to her own cage right in her pocket, yet she hesitates to turn the lock. Why do we fear leaving the houses that break us? I suppose it is because the pain is familiar. The trauma of staying is a known variable, while the freedom of leaving requires an entirely new identity. Hope does not know who she is if she is not fighting for her place at Forrester. It makes me reflect heavily on the passage of time. I sit here in the quiet of the night, watching these characters, and I realize how much my real life has changed since I started watching this show. I have aged, I have moved, lost people, grieved, rebuilt my life, and learned the hard lessons that time forces upon us all. Yet Ridge is still standing in the middle of a room, silently watching two women fight over a legacy he mismanages. I feel a surreal grief, outgrowing a piece of media that refuses to outgrow me. I look at Hope, frozen in this corporate purgatory, and I mourn for the years she has lost to this endless, repetitive struggle. But the tragedy of Arrested Development is not confined to the younger generation. We must turn our attention to the Logan sisters. Brooke Forrester, driven by some inexplicable need to be the benevolent matriarch, decides to reach out to Katie. Brooke feels badly about their last conversation. She stormed over to Spencer Publications after Katie's highly successful fashion show, offering only the most hollow, reluctant approval. Katie had practically begged for her older sister to congratulate her, and when Brooke finally did, the words were devoid of any genuine warmth. It was a performance. Now Brooke decides to head over to Spencer Publications to extend an olive branch. She hopes they can make peace. She hopes they can get along like they used to. It is a beautiful, tragic illusion. Brooke's overture is not born out of a genuine desire for equality. It is born out of a need to restore the hierarchy. Brooke is only comfortable with Katie when Katie is the lesser Logan, the sick sister, the betrayed sister. The sister who needs Brooke's protection or pity. The moment Katie steps into her own power, the moment she successfully launches a fashion house using Eric Forster's designs, Brooke's entire worldview is threatened. Her olive branch is merely a tool to bring Katie back into the fold, back under her shadow. And Katie knows this. She has to know this. The cyclical trauma of being Brooke Logan's sister is a pathology all its own. Katie will undoubtedly be suspicious. She will likely reject the overture entirely, and who could blame her? How many times can you forgive the person who has systematically dismantled your happiness simply because you share blood We are watching a profound exploration of sibling rivalry and the terrifying illusion of closure. There is no closure for Brooke and Katie. There is only a temporary ceasefire in a war that will outlast them both. I find myself drinking my wine, staring at the screen and questioning my own relationships. Do we ever truly forgive the people who hurt us? Or do we simply bury the resentment until the next trigger pulls it back to the surface? I suppose I am asking too much from a daytime drama. Then we have Melissa Dillon. If Hope and Katie are victims of long-standing generational trauma, Dillon is the fresh blood thrown into the sacrificial machinery of Los Angeles. Dillon's existence on this show has rapidly devolved into a psychological horror story. Let us examine the absolute exhaustion of her life. She spent weeks living in her car, stripped of her dignity and basic human comfort. When she was finally given a place to live at Will's beach house, it caused a massive, catastrophic rift between her and Electra. Dillon sacrificed her own romantic feelings, moving out to save a friendship, only to find herself immediately cornered by a ghost from her past. Her cousin Remy Price, the man who tortured Electra with deepfakes, is now demanding that Dillon help him make amends with Deke Sharp. Remy is holding her past over her head, blackmailing her with the very job he helped her secure. Dillon is completely devoid of agency. She is a pawn being moved across the board by people who view her merely as a means to an end. Watch her eyes when she is on screen. There is a haunting sameness to her expression, a deep settling despair. She is a woman who realizes that no matter how hard she tries to do the right thing, the universe will continually punish her for simply existing. It is a bleak existential nightmare. But today, there is a shift. Daphne Walton approaches Dillon with an intriguing pitch. The Nose of Paris has a refreshing offer for the Forrester receptionist. It is something Dillon will seriously consider. What does this offer represent in the grand tragic tapestry of this show? Is it a lifeline? Or is it simply a different cage with gilded bars? Daphne is a woman of clinical precision. She operates with a moral clarity that most characters on this show lack. Yet she is also deeply entrenched in the Forrester ecosystem. If Daphne is offering Dillon a collaborative project, perhaps something in the perfume, division, it could be the exact distraction Dillon needs to escape Remy's suffocating grip. Yet I cannot help but feel a sense of impending doom. Whenever a character on this show is offered a lifeline, it usually comes with a hidden anchor. Dillon is so desperate for stability, so desperate to be seen as something other than a homeless girl or a manipulative interloper, that she will likely jump at Daphne's proposal. I confess the moments I felt genuinely moved today watching Dillon process this sliver of hope. I know I am being emotionally manipulated by a team of writers who just need to fill 18 minutes of airtime, but the human condition is so fragile, so universally desperate for a second chance that I cannot help but care. I watch these characters, these beautiful, wealthy, profoundly broken people, and I am struck by the sheer absurdity of their pain. They live in mansions overlooking the Pacific Ocean. They wear clothes that cost more than most people make in a year, yet they are starving. They are emotionally emaciated, begging for scraps of love, respect, and autonomy from people who are fundamentally incapable of giving it. Hope wants respect from Steffi. Katie wants genuine validation from Brooke. Dillon wants a moment of peace away from Remy's blackmail. They are all reaching for something just out of their grasp, completely unaware that they are trapped in a snow globe. The riders will shake the globe, the snow will fall, and they will all scramble to find their footing, only to end up in the exact same positions they were in a decade ago. It is a terrifying thought. It makes me look around my own quiet room, the shadows stretching across the walls, and wonder about the cycles in my own life. Am I having the same arguments? Am I fighting the same ghosts? Perhaps that is why we watch. We do not watch to see them grow. We watch to see them fail, to see them repeat their mistakes so that we might feel a little less alone in our own repetitive failures. When Hope finally makes her decision whether to stay and fight Steffi, or to leave and join Katie, it will not matter in the grand scheme of the narrative. The conflict will simply change shape. The ache will remain. Let us sit with that ache tonight. Let us acknowledge the beautiful dissonance of caring so deeply about a fiction that refuses to change. Tomorrow the sun will rise over the Forrester mansion pool, the water will ripple in the artificial breeze, and Hope Logan will still be searching for a place to belong. And I will be here watching her, grieving for the time we have both lost,